well known in the area, and he watches a lot of football, and you haven't seen much yet, but you saw some preseason action last week. Talk about some of the teams you have seen so far, Bob.
Last weekend I saw Foxcroft Academy. They took on a young Herman team. Again, I think Herman's going to be okay in Class C North in what should be a very competitive division. Amongst the D teams, I also saw John Bapps last Saturday. Unfortunately, they were supposed to play their opener tonight, and with COVID issues in the program, they had to cancel against Oak Hill tonight. So I saw them against Old Town. Also saw Madison play Nokomis, and then I saw in Class AB matchup, saw a preseason contest with Bangor and Skowhegan last week. And
obviously still way too early to tell, and we've been over 600 days since we've seen real football out here, but maybe your thoughts on maybe some of the favorites. Let's start here in Class D. You've seen two of the better teams probably right now. You've seen what Foxcroft got offensively here, and you saw them last week. They're kind of explosive. Oak Hill's in this class, and Bucksport. What maybe some things you might see in Class D this year?
It's really hard to tell. Looking at Lisbon's roster, I didn't realize how young they were. They've only got 3 seniors on the roster. Foxcroft Academies, we've seen, certainly with Caden Crocker, the quarterback, Seavey. They've got some really good athletes. Topolsky is a slot receiver. The Smith kid, real good running back. Decent line of scrimmage. From what I understand, Bucksport's very strong up front. It's got real good backfield. Saw Madison last week. They're going to be competitive in Class D. They run a lot of I formation option. They look decent in their exhibition with Nokomis last week. So I think it's going to be a very competitive Class D division this year. You've got some teams with a lot of tradition. These 2 teams tonight, certainly Bucksport, Oak Hill. Bucksport's got a big game at Winthrop tonight, and then you've got Madison that may not contend for a championship, but I think will be in the mix and will certainly be very competitive.
Now, Class D locally, teams not as many teams. You've got Foxcroft, Bucksport, John Bapps, kind of down, but that's because of the new 8-man football league. And I don't think you've got a chance to see a lot of that in the past or this year, but are you interested in kind of following that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think 8-man football is good for these communities that are able to keep football alive where numbers are struggling a little bit. So I think, 8-man football is a real positive. And I also think it makes 11-man football better, too, because I know some of those programs struggled in recent years, and I think in both classes you're going to have competitive football every week. I think one of the things that the football committee did a really good job of is that they weren't worried so much about tradition. They kind of thought outside of the box a little bit, and, how can we make classes competitive, and how can we make things competitive for high school football overall? And I think overall they've done a really good job with that.
Yeah, and I just, I know in past years, obviously, unfortunately, we missed last year, but I think in past years we've seen a lot of, and we'll still see some, but we've seen a lot of lopsided games. I think that's going to be down this year.
I think so. I think, certainly this league, even the teams maybe towards the middle of the pack or the bottom of the league, you're not going to see games that are 49-0 by halftime where the JV teams are, playing out on the field before the end of the first half. And, I think you're going to just see more competitive football this year.
Now, before they get started here in the second half here, again, apologize, kind of got cut short, technical difficulties, but talk a little bit about this first half and about that first half offensively and defensively and special teams by Caden Crocker.
I certainly had the big return for the touchdown, had the touchdown pass as well. Yeah, I think just Foxcroft, just so many athletes, and again, Lisbon a very young team as well, but just you're probably not going to see a lot of teams in this class with as much athleticism at the skill positions as Foxcroft Academy has.
Yeah, and what maybe some things you think Lisbon could do in the second half to kind of they do have the ball first, kind of to change the way things went there with in the first half.
Yeah, I think with Lisbon too, obviously you're going to try to slow down, defensively try to slow down, the big playmakers of Foxcroft, try to limit big plays a little bit as much as you can. And then, they had some nice drives going as well, in that first half as well. So, we'll see what happens.
Well, we hope